for the folks who are very new to Dalgo, let me just take you all through a quick overview of what the platform and what the solution is all about. So let me quickly share my screen and get started. So my name is Ishan. I am an software engineer at Dalgo, and I've been working on this for past 2 years now. So let's get into it. Feel free to ask questions on the chat. If you have any thoughts, please put them down, and I think we can make it a bit more interactive on the chat side. So and I think, okay, so the first thing I want to talk about the data challenges and the social impact. And we know this is a very crucial and very common challenge across the ecosystem, that there is a lot of data, but we're not able to make an effective use of it, right? I think many of you must have faced this. And if you have, like, do ping on the chat so that other people know that, okay, these are the same problems across the sector. The primary reason for this challenge is there's no holistic view of the program. So if you are running multiple programs and you have multiple data coming in from different sources, there's no holistic view of what's happening, how your organization is progressing, right? And then there is a high cost to update those dashboards, right? So if you want to make your analytics or program metrics available to your entire org from top level to your on ground field workers, I think there's a lot of cost involved, a lot of resources involved. And I think it is this is another underlying problem that organizations are facing. And yeah, so we what we have seen is there's a lot of manual and repeated effort in data consolidation, cleaning and analysis, and the solutions out there provided by the cloud platforms like Google, Amazon, I think they are all focused and tailored for the corporate sector. And there are limitations in them in terms of they don't support the data sources that NGOs use, and also the cost factor in them. And I think the challenges here you see on the screen has given rise to the reason why we went ahead and built something like a tailored solution like Dalgo. The idea was that for NGOs, we wanted them to spend more time learning from your data and then improving your program instead of managing it, right? Um, and how do we do this? How Dalgo does this is it automates everything for you. It pulls all your data into a single location, which is ideally your warehouse. And then it has automated data transformation and quality checks. And we also have controlled the data privacy and security, in the sense that whatever data is handled by Dalgo is not actually with Dalgo, it stays with you in your warehouse. And whatever transformations that are done, they're also done in your warehouse. So that, I think, that helps with the data privacy and security part. And and you can manage your data pipelines, and we also offer support, some amount of support hours if you come and use Dalgo, so that if you face any problems with the pipelines, we'll be there to help you out also. So yeah, this was just a very brief about why Dalgo and how it actually works. Like, we won't delve deep into the platform in this webinar because this is NGO spotlight. And these are some of the organizations that are using Dalgo currently. Um, yeah, and one of them, as you all know, the Apprentice Project, is what Swarna is going to talk about in like a few minutes. Also, one thing before I hand it over to Swarna Dipta is we have boot camps coming up in October and November. These are the dates. So these are 2 day boot camps, and the idea is the day one would be about learning about Dalgo in depth, and then the day one and both of the days will work on setting up your pipelines on Dalgo. And right. And also we have this along with the people who are attending boot camp, which is 1 month free trial and 10 hours of free consulting. So So I think I'll stop here and I'll hand it over to
Yeah, we have
Swarna.
the other side. High
Sorry,
up on the
I think I'll hand it over to Swarna to kick off the webinar. Let me stop sharing my screen. Swarna, go for it.
Thank you, Ishan. Thank you, Abhishek, for the brief introduction. Uh, so just reiterating a few things. So my name is Swarnadipta Saha. Uh, I have been working at TAP for a little over 1 year now as a monitoring and evaluation team lead. Uh, my work has actually been around the data, handling data, cleaning it, data wrangling, or how whatever you want to call it, preliminary analysis, to some extent preparing dashboards as well. So while doing all of this task over 1 year, a little over 1 year, I did come across a few things where we were facing some challenges, and that's where Dalgo came in to help us with those challenges. So I will start sharing my screen and you can kick off the presentation. Just asking, is it visible, the screen share and everything?
Yes, Swarna, it's visible.
Cool. Okay. So, like I said, I am from the Apprentice Project, working as a team lead there. So, before actually delving into how Dalgo has come into the picture, it is imperative to understand how TAP works and why data is at the center and why we are so focused on ensuring clean and uniform and arranged, organized data. So, starting off with our mission, the overall mission, we aim to basically empower the India's underserved children to become their leaders by developing what we call them as 21st century skills, basically um, SEL skills, social and emotional learning skills like problem solving, communication, skillful communication, and a lot more. And how we do this, we particularly use our chatbot, which is driven by AI and ML. We call it Tap Buddy, but by our stakeholders, by our students uh, who are at the core of TAP's stakeholders basically call it Tap Didi. So we currently are active in 14 states, including UTs like Delhi as well, across the country. We started off in 2016, and our current team size is around 70 and counting. Recently, we achieved this feature of 60,000 plus students across 400 schools, along with external partnerships such as Sunbird Trust, Pardada Pardadi Educational Foundation, and so on and so forth. These are two organizations to mention a few. Moving on. So coming to the significance of data at TAP. So our WhatsApp chatbot is a personalized learning experience and support to students. Basically, we provide the students with activities from particular subjects. We offer 5 courses, in fact. I'll come to that. So we provide them with personalized learning experience with different activities. And when we say activities, these activities are actually created in-house. We have our in-house curriculum team, which creates activity videos. And these activity videos are actually shared using our Tab Buddy. Now, how do the students go for these activities? While we register them, while at the beginning of any batch or academic year, we get them registered on our platform. We collaborate with schools, we collaborate with teachers, and teachers who help us in onboarding students. So when the students start registering, we give them the option of choosing any one subject, any one course out of 5 subjects. To simply put, we have 5 courses which are focused on coding, financial literacy, science lab, arts, and dance. Out of these 5 courses, you get to choose one, students get to choose one. And accordingly, throughout their duration of the entire batch, they receive activities, they receive challenge activities, they receive quizzes to assess their knowledge that they have gained throughout the entire duration of the. So how do we use this data? So our data is mostly collected through our chatbot, which is AI and ML model and largely driven by Glyphic with the support of Glyphic. So firstly, we try to inculcate the 21st century skills, like we said. Furthermore, we try to improve the engagement. We understand, we analyze key which are the aspects or where are the spots where students might be facing some difficulties. They might be dropping off, they might not be completing activities. We try to identify these challenges and we try to improve the engagement so that they complete the entire course, basically complete all the activities throughout the duration of the batch. And towards the end of the batch, we have something called endline test, which assesses whether a student, how far the student has come. And before actually starting of the batch, kicking off the entire batch, we have something called baseline as well. So we compare the results of baseline and endline. So you can understand key how important the data is here, like to be able to assess key whether the student has progress, how much of a progress the student has experienced. It's imperative that we capture the data in a way that is organized, uniform, and easier to gain insights from. Moving on, we have another two reasons is basically ensure a smoother and simpler UX for our stakeholder, basically the students. It might happen ki we develop a system, we develop a flow of conversations, but the students find it difficult to understand, which is why we try to encourage students to respond to messages through in the form of stickers. We provide them language support. So it's not like we just work with English. Our courses can be shared in the form of in Marathi, in Hindi, and in Punjabi as well. So these are the two important things we use to improve our experience for our students. Additionally, we try to identify bottlenecks, which again reiterates the fact that we try to identify spots where students might drop off facing because they are facing some issues. So these are the reasons why we leverage the data that we have, that we want to collect to improve and develop, inculcate 21st century skills among our students. Moving on, we have a 2-minute demo of how a conversation with our Tab Buddy or Tab DD looks like. I'm just gonna play it right here. So as we move forward, we begin with actually a template message which helps us to initiate a conversation. And as we move forward, we try to keep the messages as interactive as possible. For instance, you can see we ask them, have you heard of motion art? Have you heard of mandala art? And based on what their response is, we get a similar response. Like this kid here responded as, no, I don't know. So don't worry, we'll learn about it. And we continue to share our, I'll like to take a pause here and explain a bit here. So once the first interactive message is responded, we share our video. However, for the sake of keeping the time short, keeping the video short, we have the next message that you see here, the recycle your thoughts and get your hour in motion. Between this message and the message prior to this, we have a buffer of 8 minutes, which is thought, which our UX team suggested, because 8 minutes is like the average duration of a video. So when we share the video message, you get 8 minutes to watch the video, and then we send another message to engage the students again. However, the video message stays there. You can go back and watch it whenever you want as well. So yeah, moving on. The next what we have is students get to submit what they learned, what they created on their own. So the video is something you get to watch and then you get to create something similar on your own. Just like we have this kid submitting some motion art picture. Then again, we start with the quiz. When we start with the quiz, we usually have 5 questions, and towards the end of each question, the student actually gets to know whether the answer was right or not, whether which one, if the answer is wrong, which one actually was the correct answer. So yeah, we just have 5 questions here, and just gonna let you go through this. So to give you more idea, our 5 questions are actually divided into sub-themes. Sub-themes in the form key, firstly, we try to focus how much of the content the child remembers after watching the video. That is one. Another sub-theme is ki, how is the child able to understand their emotional learning? Depending upon the activity, we focus on a particular SEL skill. So suppose for coding, we focus on problem solving. So let's say last 2-3 questions will be based on some problem solving skills. So this is how we kind of try to incorporate not just the recall capabilities of the children, but also ki how much they actually understood the video, the concept of the video in totality, basically. So yeah, so this is like the last question, and towards the end of the entire session, we give them an correct response ki how many questions you answered correctly, so that they can improve themselves, they can identify ki where I lacked, where I have to improve. Moving on. Yes, coming to Dalgo and how Dalgo has been helpful to us. So we have divided into two parts. First is a before Dalgo phase, before Dalgo period, and then there we have something called after Dalgo. And even within before Dalgo, we have two phases basically. In phase one, we had Glyphic, as always, was used to share our activities. However, it was solely used for sharing the activities and recording the data. For then we continue to use Google Sheets. Now, Google Sheets was used for recording students' data, students' details, and teachers' details. Like I said in the earlier slides, that we also onboard teachers so that they can help us with encouraging the students to interact with TabBuddy. As for the metrics, all of these metrics were manually calculated in Google Sheets. We did not have any automated systems back then in phase one. Yeah. Then within before coming to Dalgo, there is a phase two where Glyphic was still used as sharing of activities, but this time we started leveraging the data collected from Glyphic and stored in our BigQuery platform to write queries. And using those queries, we started calculating our metrics and started displaying the output, displaying the values of metrics on Looker Studio. So this actually gave us the benefit of giving access to different people's creating one-pager reports to be shared to teachers. We did not have to give access to Google Sheets to the teachers in case they want to see the records, see how their students are performing. So this was very helpful. However, as we scaled up, one challenge that we faced is we started having multiple dashboards for different batches, for different purposes, for different schools or different cities actually. So refreshing the queries was a continuous task that we had to do from time to time. So as like I said, as we scaled up, it kind of became difficult to handle all of these queries and dashboards. So before going into why we adopted Dalgo per se and not some other platform, we have a key consideration. So basically, we have an elimination of manual data cleanups. Like Ishan mentioned that most of the platforms, cloud platforms that we have, Google or AWS, they don't exactly support what we as an NGO seek. So in this case, Dalgo was very helpful. So we focused on how we could eliminate manual data cleanups, which used to take us around 8 to 12 hours, basically, to complete the entire work, depending upon the amount of data. Apart from that, uniformity in the data collected and stored is a very crucial thing, I feel, whenever it comes to your handling data. One example that we can think of is when teachers used to enter their school names. So while teachers were getting onboarded, we used to ask them, please enter your school name. What used to happen is different teachers from the same school enter different versions of the school name. So for instance, I'm going to take an example of a Delhi school. Let's say a Delhi school is Sarvodaya Kanya Vidyalaya. However, I am entering Sarvodaya Kanya Vidyalaya, but some other teacher from my school only is entering SKV, which is basically a short form of Sarvodaya Kanya Vidyalaya. So what we faced is it became two separate schools, although in spirit it actually remained as one. So this is something we face, uniformity in the data. Then we have display of real-time data with little to no continuous human effort. Like I mentioned, we had to refresh our queries from time to time so that the real-time data was getting displayed. We wanted to avoid that as we scaled up, as we were having more number of dashboards. Another thing is that we wanted to have one dashboard for our regular purpose. So we had regular activity dashboards for different batches. We used to have multiple batches. We used to onboard students in different tranches. So each tranche had a different dashboard, which was becoming difficult to handle. However, with the help of Dalgo, we attempted to eliminate this use of multiple dashboards. Instead, we opted for a one single dashboard that would help us in tracking these metrics. Although there are some ad hoc dashboards that are still there that are required by donors, which we did not incorporate because there's are ad hoc dashboards. But yeah, mostly we wanted to shift to one dashboard that had a that used to record the regular activities and metrics basically. So after Dalgo, how did Dalgo came into the picture and how it is still helping us in maintaining our systems? So we have divided our entire platform, entire procedure of Dalgo into two parts. First is the tab buddy, which is where the students interact, if you would see. So students interact with tab buddy, which is supported by Glyphic, and the data again goes to BigQuery. What Dalgo does is Dalgo takes the data, stored data, it ingests the data from there, it transforms it, it makes the data uniform, like we discussed, uniforms the courses, uniforms the different versions of the same school name, and it stores there, and stores in our data warehouse. Another part is from during the registration process, like we said, we have registration process for students. The data that students enter in our tab buddy is actually sent to what we call our CRM through in the form of through webhooks. So the CRM, instead of having Google Sheets where we store our student details, now we store our data in CRM, which is a lot more accessible, lot faster than Google Sheets, especially when you have 15,000, 20,000, 40,000 records. Another thing that CRM helps us with is providing a UI to make changes to the records. And these are real-time changes. So suppose a student reaches out to us or reaches out to a teacher and the teacher reaches out to us, please change the course of this XYZ students to science lab from coding. The operations team can do it on their own with the help of the UI, with the help of the UI of the CRM. And the same is actually taken by Dalgo again, and it updates our backend. Basically, updates the students' details in the backend in our data warehouse. Another important aspect here is the optimized dashboard. This is the dashboard that we were talking about, that I was talking about, having one-stop shop for all our regularly required metrics. So we have a few screenshots towards the end of this presentation where we show how it has been helpful. We have one-stop shop as a one-stop shop for all our data requirements. Yeah, that actually is, we have tried to keep it as simple as possible, the involvement of Dalgo. Yeah. So these are some of the screenshots of how the data looks like, how the optimized data in our optimized dashboard looks like. So if you see, there could be different versions of these cases. For instance, if I have to give an example, there have been cases last year, based on my understanding, there have been teachers who have entered I teach schools SVT, which is basically Swargya Vitthal to pay. However, if someone enters SVT and someone enters the full name, it shows us as different versions, different schools. But in actuality, it is actually the same school. So this is what I actually meant by uniformity of the data. Moving on. Yes, this is something we have new on the cards, and this is actually was taken. This initiative was actually taken to ensure that we try to push even cleaner data to the CRM. So this year, from this particular batch, actually, we started something called web page registration for teachers. Until our last batch, until our last academic year, we were actually onboarding teachers on our Glyphic platform, basically TabBuddy. However, there are certain aspects where we were facing challenges, like we said, ensuring teachers enter the correct school name or a uniform school name. That is one of the very big challenges we were facing when we started off with asking the teachers to enter the school name. So this pushed us to have a web page registration where we actually have a drill down approach to identifying schools. So right here, moving on to the next slide, you can see we have 3 pages. It's a 5-page web page registration, but we're going to focus on the pages which are important, which are crucial, which drove us to develop this web page registration. First is basically, of course, the personal details. We have ensured that first name and last name are actually only English letters and no special characters or no numbers are actually entered, which was again an issue when they were entering details on their glyphic chat box, Tab Buddies chat box. The next thing that we have, like I've been discussing so far, uniformity in school name, we adopted a drill down approach to identifying schools. So if you see, if a person selects Delhi, you get the districts or zones that come under Delhi. So suppose I have selected South Zone, MCD. Within that, you get the different blocks or wards that come under South Zone. For instance, again, I have selected 158-Bhati. That's a ward in Delhi. And then based on what you have selected in the previous 3 options, drop downs, you get the entire list of schools. So here the teachers don't exactly have to enter the school name, they just have to select it. So that we can ensure that all we have maintained a similar school. We have maintained a uniform school's naming structure. Once you have completed the registration process through confirming all the details and everything, this is the last page. The third screenshot displays the last page that teacher gets to see, which takes them directly to our tab buddy. And once you are there in our tab buddy, there would be a pre-filled keyword, what we call pre-filled message or text in the chat, in the text where we type our messages. And that is something you have to send to tab buddy to ensure that you are onboarded onto our Glyphic platform. So this serves as 2 purposes. It ensures that we have ensured that we and ensure that school IDs, or sorry, school names are uniform. At the same time, we have not detached the teachers from the use of our product, the use of our tab buddy. So once you complete the registration, you need to go to the tab buddy, and where you can actually interact, ask questions. If you have any queries, you can type help and our tab buddy will respond accordingly. Yeah. So moving forward, we have 2 important things to discuss with Dalgo. Like when moving forward with respect to future plans with Dalgo, we have 2 important things to talk about. Is first is quiz module development. Now that we already have a CRM in place, we have the records of students in CRM. What we were hoping for is tracking student-specific quiz scores in CRM. So basically what it would mean is I am a student, my record is into the CRM, and if any teacher or any ops team member or anyone who has access to the CRM wants to check the details, how I have performed or how the students of say any particular school or city has performed, they can actually filter it out on our CRM platform, which is actually quite faster than Google Sheets or even perhaps Looker Studio, depending upon the amount of records we have. They can go to my records, they can go to the records of particular students, and they can actually check what has the quiz score been or what is the average quiz score has been for a particular region or particular segment. Another thing is qualitative data analysis. So TAB collects feedbacks from its students and teachers. So we try to collect feedback from our teachers and students because we want to ensure, like I said, we have improved our UX by collecting the data, by analyzing it, where students have been facing issues, where the teachers have been facing issues actually. So this is another thing that we wish to discuss, take forward with Dalgo. And I believe we have come across a feature in Dalgo which helps us analyze qualitative data and not just qualitative data, which is in general a little more difficult than quantitative because, well, we have statements, phrases, and a lot of other things. So yeah, these are the 2 things that we have as a part of our future plans with Dalgo. So yeah, with that, I think we are done. Thank you for listening so patiently.
I think we can take some questions, like if people want to unmute and ask, or if you guys want to ping on the chat also, we can take some questions. And regarding Swarna's last slide, the qualitative data analysis, we do have a feature coming. We're going to release it very soon. That will allow NGOs to talk to the data, whether it be qualitative or quantitative. So yeah.
Ishan, do we have some messages in the text? I think I saw something.
Yeah, I think there are just comments. I don't think there are questions. Anyone has any questions or they want to know about more about TAP or Dalgo, I think this is a good time. Or if you guys have any thoughts on, like, if you have a similar problem and if you want to share that, that is also great. Um, so Swarna, just I have a question. The last part that you mentioned, the web registration
Mhm.
through the new UI, right? The last step in the last slide,
Mhm.
all the data is going to the CRM, right?
Yes, yes,
Once the form is filled out.
yes, yes, exactly.
And then I think the Dalgo is going to process that data
Yes,
also,
yes,
right?
yes.
Okay,
We have the doc types, teacher doc types. So,
right. Okay.
yeah, I think there's one question in the chat box and a comment as well, from Arun Silva. Could I address that?
Sure. So, what are various data sources from which Dalgo can pull data? So, Arun, Dalgo can pull data from, like, I think we have 300 plus sources that we support. Behind Dalgo is state of the art open source tool that we use. And so, yeah, we can support a whole lot of sources. And the idea is that even if Dalgo is not able to support any custom source that you have used, we'll try to build it out in our platform so that you can use it. Yeah.
Yep. I think there's also a comment from Arun. Could I address that? Most teachers are aware of their school's UTI code. Could ask them to key it and makes it full. So yeah, Arun, that is true. We do have a provision for having UDICE numbers in our CRM, but what we actually have observed is key different regions, teachers in different regions have different ideas, different understanding of this. So, for instance, if I give an example of Delhi, I feel Delhi is we work with MCD and DO. So what we have come to know from our on the field team, our program implementation team, is that depending upon which department you're in, whether you're in MCD or DOE school, teachers tend to remember different parts of it. So some, suppose say MCD teachers do remember their UDICE number. It is not necessary that DOE teachers would. So that's actually the difficulty we face. Now, this is just in case of Delhi. So as we move forward, as we have teachers in different states, for instance, we have students in teachers schools in Assam. We had students in and teacher schools in Bihar as well. It was very difficult for us to generalize that everybody would remember their UDICE number. So we want to, because, and as the name itself is very familiar with, teachers could go just like that key, okay, this is my school. We thought key, let's have it and the form of names only, that too from a UX experience, because if the UX again is difficult to understand, the challenge would be that teachers are dropping out or teachers are not encouraging the students to register as well. So yeah, that is actually we had one consideration, but yes, we do have UDICE number and we are trying to incorporate that as well into the entire process. So yeah.
Okay. I think there's another question from Sam. Can you explain more from sustainability and long term, which changing tech space? Sam, could you like elaborate on that question? Like you can also unmute and add in like what, I think I lost the context when you put that question in. I think in the meantime, Swarna, if you can answer the last question.
Oh. So to answer that question, I think we came up with the idea of the CRM in 2023 when we were actually scaling, and the number of students actually increased from around 10,000 to around, I think, 25,000, including different models that we had. So We were using Google Sheets to record our data, but it was becoming slow as it was taking a lot of time to load the entire thing. And why a CRM and not just stick to BigQuery, because that's also where the record is because we wanted to provide an UI to the operations team. Now, our assumption, our understanding was that using BigQuery would require some level of tech savviness in the form of SQL queries, writing SQL queries or something. We did not want our operations team to get into that technicality. So we opted for a CRM, which is basically a web application where you can just log in and make changes by selecting the name of the students or ID of the student. Use it like a normal web application, just like we have Amazon. You kind of go into Amazon, you filter what you need on the price or everything, and then you can get the data out. So yeah, that is actually one reason why we opted for CRM. And
Thanks, Swarna. I think there's another question. What's the platform used for dashboard superset, or are there other options that are used as well?
uh,
So, Arun, we offer superset as an option also, but you can bring your own visualization tool. For example, Tap, they use Looker Studio, so you can use whatever tool you're most comfortable with. But if you want to opt for Dalgo's option, we use superset. Okay. Okay. Are there any more questions? We do have a feedback poll, so please stick around for maybe 5 minutes. We'll launch that very soon. Um,
Yeah, just give me a minute. I'm launching two polls. One is for Mumbai and Delhi boot camps, and the other is for feedback in that
yeah,
order. Yeah. In the meantime, if folks have questions, just go ahead. Shoot.
yeah, sure. I think I wasn't able to answer Sam's question. If you want to rephrase or if you want to unmute and talk, Sam, I think I missed out. Like I didn't get the context on your question.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Hi, I'm Vijay from Life Lab. I have a
Okay, so your
question.
name is written as Sam. Okay, go for it, Vijay.
No, I am not Sam. I think Sam is a different person.
Oh, okay.
I have a different question altogether.
Sure, sure.
So, yeah, so you were talking about CRM and the operation team able to edit it, right? So, does it happen in a web portal, or do the operations team have an app or something where they can uh, edit it? How does it work?
yeah, we have a web application. We don't have an app exactly. We have a web application. We have a link. Uh, we create our users internally, and we have their credentials. We share it with them, and they can actually use their credentials, log into the platform, and make changes, check the data, or even export the data. If they want key, I want the list of students from Delhi XYZ school, so they can just export it as well. So it's like a multi-purpose.
Okay, each program manager or a program lead would have their own credentials to be
Yeah,
sent.
everybody who requires the access to CRM, they have their own credentials.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Niyati from Aluhumura Education Foundation, and our program is largely with teachers, supporting teachers in conducting some programs in schools. So we do not have an intensive student level data to handle, but we do have teacher level data. Um, for students, we just do, say, for example, a baseline and an end line towards the beginning and the end of the program. So that makes um, our data a little too much at 2 times of the year. And now that we are moving on to various new locations, so the number of entries in that data becomes too much. So that is one, like, data thing that we need to manage. there is also some form of qualitative data that we need to analyze. So one is that, and the other thing is with teachers, we um, do a regular reporting form kind of a thing. We send Google Forms say every 2 months, and a lot of data comes in from that as well, which is again is a block wise is sent blockwise to the teachers across various districts. So there are a lot of Google Forms duplicates that we are handling and converting them into dashboard, the Excel sheet for operations team to see. So is I'm just want to understand if Dalgo um, is something that can help us with this, or is it something else?
Got it. Thanks, Niyati, for that question. So, I think before I answer that, I think we'll have to delve a bit deeper into how you guys are currently handling your data, etc.,
Hmm.
which I think would require like a separate
Hmm.
call. But seemingly, it looks like
Hmm.
Dalgo
Hmm.
can
Hmm.
help. But yeah, it'll be better if we like probably schedule a call, or you can reach out to us. Um, yeah, I think after
Sure,
understanding
sure.
how we
How can I
program,
do that?
how
Can I?
the systems work, yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Can I have your email ID for that?
Sure,
Like,
I'll
how do
just
I
put
reach?
that.
Sure, sure. Thank you.
Okay, I think I may understand Sam's question. I'll try to attempt to address that. So, can you explain more from sustainability and long-term to changing tech space? So yeah, Sam. So like we said, as we have scaled out, we have started developing. We started reaching out to Dalgo or maybe other platforms as well. Not say, but to reach out basically to understand how it could help us. So from a long-term perspective, we attempt to improve our UX as well. So recently, we also have collaborated with something called Plyo, which gives us interactive YouTube videos. What we saw in the demo that we had is basically you see the video and then you answer the quiz. But while interacting with Plyo, the Plyo video, you get to uh, answer the questions while you are watching the video. At certain points, we have placed questions where you get to answer them. So with changing tech space and everything, sustainability, everything, considering all of that, we would also be changing our methods. We have our in-house UX team, which keeps on exploring different options to ensure that we don't um, see a drop off in the students. We actually keep on improving ourselves. Now, this goes to the front end bit. From the back end bit, if you're asking how it is sustainable and everything, uh, right now, based on the usage of CRM, I think we are quite secure for the long term because based on the usage of it, based on the resources, virtual machines we have, capabilities of the virtual machines we have, I believe we have been using even less than 50% of it, if I'm not wrong. Like Ishan can pitch in here. So the capabilities are yet to go far. Even if we scale, even if we reach a max, say 1 lakh or 2 lakh students, I think we can continue to use our CRM platform for quite a long time until we come across something, say something even better when we are see it is not working out anymore. This is similar to what we saw in Google Sheet. We used to handle data of around 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 students in Google Sheet. When we saw it was not working out anymore for us, we switched, we reached out to Dalgo. They helped us, supported us in building the CRM, which now can handle a lot more data than we're currently handling, basically. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think there's another poll for the feedback. So if you all could take a look at that and fill that out. And yes, I think just to add on to what Swarna was mentioning, that yes, the scale can be much larger than 1 or 2 lakh students. So the open source CRM that TAP is using is like a very stable software, and it's also being used by Zerodha and their to handle their back office data. So it's very scalable. There's also a case study out there that can, like, it can handle lakhs of data very easily. So yes.
I, uh, I'm a tech amateur, so I have this very dumb question probably in this webinar. So I just want to understand how what sort of output as a product designer I can get from Dalgo. So I'm just understanding there is one CRM bit where the operation team can handle the data, and we have this data warehouse where all the data is maintained, and uh, and uh, and there is another bit that creates analytics and dashboard. So, and also when mostly uh, we get stuck with the data and everything when we are creating reports for our donors or our funders, right? Does Dalco also support in doing that, or am I right in understanding Dalco as a product? It does these three things.
Yes, I think you're almost right. So the idea is that, like, in case of Tap, they had the CRM and then they had the chatbot, right? Like, so I think, Sona, can you move to the flowchart wala slide
Oh,
where Dalgo is there, student is there, and then teachers. This one. So right, it pulls data from your multiple sources. Could be so here. I think TabSkills, there are two sources. One is the chatbot data, and another one is the CRM that they set up in house. So Dalgo will ingest everything. It'll transform your data like according to whatever you want to show. Like, because I think Tab has an operations dashboard. They have like a program metrics dashboard, all merged into one now. So it processes all the data, transform it, aggregates, consolidates, and then it prepares the final tables, which you can use in your visualization tool and create charts. So that's the idea. I don't know if I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Right.
And sorry, just to add, Vijay, um, the broad idea in terms of services, right? What you can take away is it first helps to automate all of that data processing. One, the pulling of data, and two, the transformation of data. And then it offers a visualization tool as well for data visualization. And that's as far as the platform capability goes. Then, if you'd like us to build dashboards for you, set up all of this pulling of data, transformation of data, then the Dalgo's consulting team covers that as a separate service. Is that helpful?
Yeah, yeah, it is. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Nair. And I think Abhishek has put out the email. So if you want to, if you are confused or thinking how Dalgo can help you, maybe worth a chat with us. Like, you can write to us on that email, and then we can talk about like how Dalgo can help you in your organization. Okay, I think we can end the webinar here. If there are no more questions, and you know where to reach us out on. But thank you all for attending, taking taking the time out after probably lunch. So I guess people might be half asleep. But yeah, thank you all for joining the webinar. Thanks, Varna, for taking us through TAPS
Yeah, thank you.
program and how Dalgo helped them.
Thank
So,
you.
okay.